Good afternoon, everybody. So, how is the Josh after the two impactful sessions on branding? नहीं एनर्जी कम लग रही है सच टू पावरफुल सेशंस तो उसके बाद थोड़ी तो एनर्जी ज़्यादा होनी चाहिए ना सो हाउ इज़ द जोश सो आपको पता है इंडिया में दो चीज़ें हैं जो हम सबको बहुत ज़्यादा यूनाइट करती है पहली तो है क्रिकेट जिसमें सबकी यूनिटी देखने को मिलती है एंड दूसरी है फिल्म्स So films are more than just stories. So they are the powerful marketing tools. Ever noticed how seamlessly the brands are placed in movies? So आज हम वही जानेंगे. So basically today we are going to explore how branding integrates into storytelling, shaping the audience perceptions and consumer behavior. For that, we have two great industry experts with us. Firstly, I would request both our eminent personalities to please come up on the stage, Mr. Abhishek Jain and Ms. Khushboo Solanki Sharma. Thank you very much, sir and ma'am, for joining us. So before they begin the discussion, I would like to introduce both our eminent personalities. First, we have Mr. Abhishek Jain, a filmmaker, producer, a visionary behind Cinnamon Production Limited. He has also played a very crucial role in reviving the Gujarati film industries with movies like Kevi Rite Jaish, Be Yaar, and national award-winning Wrong Side Raju. Along with that, he has also collaborated with Bollywood star icons like Subhash Ghai, Sanjay Leela Bhansali, Ram Madhavani, and he also founded Oho Gujarati, Gujarat's first premium content streaming platform. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us at AMA for the Brand Summit 2025. Next up, we have Ms. Khushboo Solanki Sharma, a branding and marketing expert, founder of Zero Gravity Communication, and with an extensive experience across corporate brands, startups, and FMCG companies. Her expertise lies in strategic branding, storytelling, and creating meaningful brand experience. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us here for the Brand Summit 2025. Before we begin the discussion, we have them talking more about the topic. I would like to take a moment to felicitate both the experts. Without taking much time, I would now request both the experts to please take over the stage and guide the audience. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Sanjay sir, for having us. I'll try to keep it very informal because I think someone that I'm talking to is a very good friend. I've known him for over 10 years and I think I've been working with him regularly. So a lot of things that I know that can navigate the conversation into more interesting way, we'll try to do that. First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Khushboo Sharma. I'm founder of Zero Gravity Communications. I'm basically an engineer, worked in consulting strategy, and moved into advertising by chance. One of the very interesting things is 10 years of working in Ahmedabad with legacy brands, with startups, with more for transforming brands from legacy to digital era. It has been quite a journey, and I have learned on the way, and whatever I have learned, those experiences have built my professional life. So not to take much onto it, of the topic that we have, all of us love films. Who is here who would say that I've not seen any films? Everyone has their own genre. Like someone will like fiction, someone will like horror, someone will like historic movies, romance. We all grew up with films. And brands have been a very interestingly integrated in films, starting from Bond movies, taking Austin Martin, or Zindagi Na Mile Dobara, advertising Spain tourism. So we don't know the impact of films that has created on brands in a subtle narratives. And here we are going to try to understand and decode in today's session that how subtly the popular culture, mainstream culture, movies that subtly influence us, and how do brands kind of seep in and come in narrative with that. So here with me, I have someone who has tremendous on-hand experience, not only making films, but working with brands and understanding their narratives, their issues, their concerns, and integrating it with solutions. So welcome, Abhishek. Welcome, and you want to talk a little bit about yourself?
No, I mean, thank you, Khushboo. Good afternoon, everyone. Ahmedabad Management Association is like home to me. This is where I've learned about marketing and advertising and a lot about management. I remember in my school days, I used to come here for Suresh Mashruwala's personality development course, and then I also participated in debate competitions here, and then I've attended Sanjay Sir's many of the sessions. So I think the good part is to be absolutely casual about it and informal about it, and obviously you are family, you are like, a good buddy. So this is, I don't want to introduce myself, we can just start.
Okay, so how many years you've been making films, and just tell us like how the INFILM has evolved in those many years.
See, I think this September we will complete 15 years of our existence as Cineman Productions. Thank you. And we started off as an advertising film production house. But we started off here in Ahmedabad and thinking that we'll make advertising films here. But then back then, 15 years back then, until now also, there is a lot of discrepancy in terms of understanding whether, brands can be served solely from here in terms of the solutions of films or not. But when I started making my first film way back in 2012, that is Kevirte Jaish, because of the advertising background, because I'm a management graduate, and because I'm also a film, student from a film school, it kind of became very easily for me to blend. And also my experience with Radio Mirchi. I served as a radio jock there for 3 years. So there you have to do some insertions as a radio jock for some brand and do some links around it. So it really helped me understand this a little better than what probably only a normal filmmaker would understand. In Gujarat specifically, there is a little apprehension from the brand side towards, placing their brands into the film. There are two reasons, primarily because one, they do not know what is the outreach of a Gujarati film and how much will the brand get benefited or leverage out of it. And secondly, they do not really trust what kind of content you're making in Gujarati. So, and we have been going through that bias, and it's been 15 years that we're trying to curb that bias. But yeah, this has been my experience so far.
Interesting. So when you've said that you've done that and you've understood it better, do you think that integrating a brand into a film or integrating a brand narrative into a film, use case into a film, is this sort of a compromise to the film ever, or have you ever experienced that अच्छा ये ज़रूरत नहीं है मैं ज़बरदस्ती इसको ये स्टोर पे लेके जा रहा हूँ या ज़बरदस्ती ये पीछे brand का dangler लटक रहा है. We see that many a times forced integration or because it's a money we are doing it. But what is this challenge that how do you deal with it? So
if you look at it in a very X-ray vision, it spiked when Subhash Ghai, my mentor from Whistling Woods, he did something in Tal and Yade, and that was overdone and it was overboard. We all know that वो यादें में ऋतिक का डायलॉग है कि पास पास खाओगे पास पास खाने से पास पास आ जाओगे, और वो इतना चीज़ी और लेम लग रहा था. Then it settled from that very obvious non-creative way to nice, better creative ways of brands in the films. And now in current times I would say it is equally lame. Just having your brand at the at the back of a shot, maybe as part of the hoarding or just a wall painting, is not brand insertion technically. And also I'll tell you the harsh fact is that these days filmmakers or film production houses or film marketers go to brands not only for creative placement of their brands in the story, they go for corporate bookings. So if you are a brand, I come to you, I tell you that I'll do some insertion of your brand, and then in return, okay, you don't give me this much cash, we make part cash, part corporate booking. So you book 10,000 tickets and you make sure that in the first week of your film you go, and that's how we are filling in seats and we are making people come to the cinemas and lauding about the fact that we are back in cinemas, but we are not.
That's a very different challenge that we'll touch base upon, that are really people going back to cinema to the level that they used to before.
That is another conversation altogether. But I'm not trying to, what I'm trying to throw here as a light is that when it started back in 20 years back, it had a good spike, but it was very non-creative. And then it came down to settle in a nice, like Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara or whatever. And it was very subtle, it was nice, it was creative, it was adhering to the story, and it made sense. And then again today, in today's time, you see it looks like a desperate attempt, because practically, and I'm talking about everything that is been done in terms of in-film branding in this country. I'm not specifically talking about Gujarati films. We can probably come that to later. There is another challenge in that. But today it is more of a target that is given to a film marketeer by the production house कि इतने का cash deal तो लेके आना ही पड़ेगा, we have a star like this. And then it turns up that, it is very, then if it is driven completely from sales point of view, that doesn't serve the purpose of the film, nor does it serve the purpose of the brand. मतलब आप फिल्म देखने जाते हो और वो एक्शन सीक्वेंस के बीच में पेंट किया हुआ वॉल पेंट पे ब्रांड दिख जाता है, it's a good recall maybe, but for me that's not in film branding. For me it is, sorry to say, but khairat mein mila hua paisa, but that's so non-creative. And as advertiser, how can we create or commit that crime? Or as filmmakers, how can we commit that crime? So there are two parties involved here, advertisers and filmmakers.
So that's exactly what I was trying to kind of get to, saying that the challenges that you mentioned are also the challenges coming by product of not having a strategy in place.
Yeah.
So when we do media planning, when we do budgeting, when we do marketing allocation, effort allocation, and what are the medias we are going to use, I don't think, and I think Neeraj here can even add that, INFILM is ever a category or a section in a big budget saying that, okay, keep aside, this is ATL, BTL, this is digital, this is XYZ, and there is never an INFILM considered to be thing. I was talking to one of a very big brand, I think you were part of the conversation, where they said, okay, fine, I have this X amount of budget for experimentation, right? For content experimentation, where I can really create. But that's like a humongous brand trying to say that, and then again, it's a extra something left behind for you to kind of do away with, or a filmmaker is friend with a brand team or a brand owner, and somehow you connect and you reach out and you say, oh, there's the film coming, and you like the actor and you want your brand to be integrated, and that's how the INFILM comes in the strategic role for brands planning. So as an agency, many a times, if the client comes to us with a budget, and which is very finite, limited budget, where again, performance, ROI, all of this is being on clock line for you to retain your client or for you to retain your annual targets. How does the INFILM kind of plays a role into it? How do you justify the budgeting? How do you think we should be, as collective, creative organizations working for brand, need to factor in this fact in our planning part of it?
See, you rightly mentioned that in the pie of spends that a brand is doing, INFILM branding comes, I think, at the bottom, and also not as a priority. There are two reasons for this. One, in my understanding, these two reasons work because one, you're not sure when the film is going to come. For example, your campaign is, say, hard pressed around, say, in the month of May to July, or say May to August, whatever. But the film is releasing in October. How is it really helping whatever launch you have, or whatever product placement you've done, or whatever campaign idea you have for that period of time? That is one. Secondly, I think where we are, and this is a very objective view, where we are actually failing to understand is that a brand should not solely consider the actor or the star of the film on which their decision making should be dependent, but I think story should be the priority for them. Whether the story really, aligns with, or slightly aligns with, bleakly aligns with the philosophy of the brand or not, that is more important. क्योंकि स्टार के साथ में अगर आपको करना ही है और उसके हाथ में एक ये ग्लास देना है, तो आप ऐसे भी आज के तारीख में इन्फ्लुएंसर मार्केटिंग हो रहा है. आप ब्रांड मतलब आप एक एक्टर को ला करके ऑन बोर्ड, यू कैन डू अ लिमिटेड एडवर्टाइजिंग कैंपेन ऑल्सो, बट दैट स्टोरी विल बी रिमेंबर्ड फॉर एवर, लाइक हाउ यू रिमेंबर स्पेन and Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. Okay, obviously they were there 3 stars there, but now you don't recall it by Farhan Akhtar said this. You recall it by Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara की कहानी में बहुत well integrated Spain tourism था. That is where I think we are facing a challenge.
I think also one more part which gets added is how much you want your brand to be part of a mainstream culture. So if you remember, if you see Piku, a very nicely whole narration where Deepika Padukone has a beautiful hair, it's not been flaunted but you can see it, and then eventually subtly a scene where she's putting parachute on her head, and it's just somehow you remember that it was parachute, it was no other tel ka bottle.
And also the maker is an ad film maker.
Exactly, maker is an ad film maker.
Yeah, so he understands the aesthetic of it. He understands that where to compromise and where to actually balance it.
Yeah, so integrating brands into a mainstream culture, that एक famous dialogue बोलते time पे उसके पीछे ये brand का अड्डा था या ये ब्रांड की जगह थी या वो करते करते उसने ये ब्रांड लिया, या फिर वी हैव लाइक अ मेन स्ट्रीम एफर्ट विच वेरी नाइसली डन इन वन ऑफ अ ब्रांड फ्रॉम अहमदाबाद इज एस्ट्रल, लाइक starting from the bang, owning a very popular massy property to right now KGF holding a pipe. Again, what do you think of it? What are the two narrative differences which you think works best, and from the story, from the brand, or and for the filmmaker's point of view?
I think that was very smartly done by Astral, because the hero was fighting against some goons and he took out that pipe और उसने मारा. अब वो बहुत सटनली आ भी गया कि ये पाइप ऐसे वैसे टूटेगा नहीं, और वो हीरो के हाथ में भी आ गया, और इंटीग्रेशन बहुत अच्छा और वाज नाइस, पैलेटेबल इंटीग्रेशन. But also the fact is that the awareness of the feature filmmaker and his openness of that feature filmmaker towards inserting brand in the story doesn't have to start with the fact that अरे अभी क्या मैं क्या बेचू बन जाऊं क्या, अभी मैं क्या अपनी सोल सेल कर दूं क्या. अगर उस पर्सपेक्टिव से सोचोगे तो आप कोई भी ब्रांड को जस्टिस नहीं दे पाओगे, ना अपनी कहानी के साथ में उस ब्रांड को जोड़ पाओगे. लेकिन अगर आप उसको एक सोल्यूशन की तरह देखिए, बिकॉज मोस्ट ऑफ द केसेस द ब्रांड इंसर्शंस और दीज थिंग्स कम फ्रॉम द प्रोड्यूसर्स or the marketing team, and then that's where the filmmaker gets defensive. And I have faced that. I mean, the films that I've directed and the films that I've produced, where I am producing and there is a director, sir अभी ये shot लेने वाला हूँ मैं, ले लूँगा. ये ऐसे नहीं हो सकता. You have to give equal amount of dignity to that fact, not only because there is money riding, but also because at the end of the day this is your film. And people are not going to remember the brand from that point of view के story के अंदर brand ने अपना brand घुसा दिया था. They will say that तुमने उसको आने दिया था. तो at least उसको dignity से approach करो और उसको justified coverage दीजिए. और जहाँ एक पाड़ बांधवानी हो ना, where you draw a line, you need to really draw a line. And that's where I think I've also faced this problem with a lot of brands here. We get into a deal, they all agree, and they're all hunky-dory about it. We get into paperwork and everything. They come on the set, and we obviously invite them on the set because, I mean, rightfully so, they should be. And they come on the set, अच्छा थोड़ा सा ऐसा कर दो ना, थोड़ा सा 3 सेकंड का और इससे बुलवा दो ना. अरे वो नहीं हो सकता. वो उस समय, singularly if you look at it, you would feel like it's, it is adding value. But when you look, the filmmaker would know that eventually when it comes on the edit, it is not going to add value. Probably he will cut it. But they just become too pushy. कि नहीं अभी वो मैम ने अभी हुआ था. I made this film called Entrepreneur, which is about an 60-year-old lady who becomes an entrepreneur. So Supriya ma'am was supposed to endorse a brand in the film, okay, and that brand had come and Supriya बहन से एक ऐसा बुलवा दो और एक काम करो, अभी मैम लंच करने जाएंगे, अभी ये शूट नहीं हो रहा है, शूट के बाद में मैम जब लंच करने जाएंगी ना, तब वो जब खाना खा रही होंगी तो हमारा वाला प्रोडक्ट भी रख देना, वो खाना खा रही होगी, मैं BTS ले लूँगा, फिर मैं वो BTS चिपका दूंगा. मैं बोला यार उसको चैन से खाने तो दो, आपके ब्रांड का इंसर्शन हो रहा है ना, अब वो लेडी को खाने तो दो. अब उसको मैं वैनिटीज में बाहर निकालूं, आपका प्रोडक्ट रखूं, वो खाए, और आप वो खाते समय भी आप बोलेंगे ही कि अच्छा ऐसे नहीं ऐसे खाइए मैम चटनी भी यूज़ कर लीजिए. That's not possible. So you have to understand from that point of view. So there has to be, what I'm trying to say and the point that I want to bring here is that it is a very clinical way of bringing a brand to the film, and two parties, the filmmaker and the brand or whoever is representing the brand, they have to be on the same page.
So that brings me to the next question, that do you think that we need a special discipline, special focus, or a subject matter detailing when we are learning about branding, when we are learning about how we are reaching out to brands, that how do we integrate how do we integrate brands into more mainstream films, regional films? Like for example, brands come in and say that, oh, I'm very good in North, I need to expand in South. And now, most of the time, it is the agency is also from North. And let's understand that India is very different in North, India is very different in South. And then you will like, okay, how are we going to? And South has a big influence of films. So would it be interesting, rather than making a huge ad, integrating in some mainstream film, or having Rajnikant and KGF act Yash, or someone doing endorsement? Because we've done that in one of our brands, where they said, okay, we are strong in South, but we need to take an actor which is also appealable in North, so zeroes down to these many characters, and then we are taking them as TVC actor. Why? Because impact of that. But the same is what, as an idea, now we are exploring how do we do it with film and XYZ. So what do you think about it?
There should definitely be an academic approach to this, because most of the time what happens is that a filmmaker or a film producer or film marketeer comes to brand at a very last moment. Okay, and that too is probably an act of filling in more cash, or them running out of cash and then chasing some brand. But if you actually, and you know that we have done this, and Sanjay sir is also witness to this, that 3 months before I'm going on to the shoot, while my pre-production is happening, because I have a script in hand, as a producer or as a marketeer, I should have a list of as many brands that can probably get attached with the film. And then you filter, and that's a funnel. Then you eventually come down to nice 5 brands, then now seamlessly integrated, because by the time you're in touch with the brand, you're in touch with their needs, you know what their campaign is upcoming like, you know your filmmaker better, the director better, and you also now know your script, and there could be a nice conversation across the table where they can very nicely, subtly, justified way, they can place the brand, and by the time you go on to the shoot, it works. That kind of approach, I don't know if there has to be a course in a management school about this, but at least that approach, from the moment you have a script in hand, every stakeholder gets involved, right? So same with that, in that case, a marketer should also get involved. So a brand can probably also be brought in and get involved. So that approach has to be there.
Exactly. Academic approach is something, or more systematic approach is something that I feel, because we've worked this now and again, and most of the time it happens that we right fit as a brand, we have a right script as movie to integrate a brand, but then brand says, oh, I don't have budget right now, or right now it's no time, and then the whole understanding or sensibility. And I think this is very interesting challenge we faced when we started as an agency to explain for digital, which was 10 years back, going to brands and saying digital काम का है, digital बहुत अच्छा है, ये है वो है, all that by mainline दे दो, digital free में कर देंगे, all that things we started with. But I think in the same spec of it, INFILM is something which gets usually what you call it, ormayu as a treatment. Why? Because there is no structure around it, there is no processes around it, there are no official case studies around it. While most of the time it is done is, sir, इस brand को देखो इसने कितने अच्छे से कर लिया, उसको देखो वो कितना अच्छे से कर रहा है, and that's the way it's been sold, rather than a more scientific approach. Also because you think there is no way or a measure for success also.
Yes, exactly. I was coming to that. There is no tangible way to make the brand understand that these are the amount of people who probably are going to watch the film, because we ourselves as filmmakers are not sure, to be honest. We make a film, मतलब नेकी कर दरिया में डाल, obviously there is a strategy behind it, but हमें नहीं पता होता है कि ये फिल्म 100 करोड़ करेगी या 1 करोड़ करेगी, 3 दिन चलेगी या 30 दिन चलेगी, ठीक है? तो हम कुछ एक tangible proposition नहीं लेके जा सकते. We are unable to do that, and that is where the risk factor is more, and that is where the priority is less. And that is justified. But if a brand approaches it this way, that round the year, for example, I have got a 12-month budget, and round the year, if there is an X amount of budget that I'm dedicating to in-film branding, and I would probably chip in my budget into 6 films. Now, there are high probability and high chances that out of the 6 films, you will get leverage and traction at least in 2 films.
So that comes down to what I was going to say next is we also need a very solid case study creations. We also need solid narratives around showcase of how the in-film has impacted on mainstream consumption. Because today, I remember that having said that in Piku, Deepika Padukone uses parachute. Will that make me consume that product? Will that make me buy that product? That's just taking a mind share. That's not making me go and buy the product. So the frenzies or maybe mind share retention, what is the purpose of the in-film? That also needs to be scientifically defined. That ye isse itna hi milega. Don't expect people to run behind and go crazy about your brand, or don't expect crazy. Like I find it very amazingly interesting is one of these pan masala ads, which is where your 3 big Bollywood actors kind of really 4 sorry.
The cub is also added.
Yeah. 4th one is added, and like it always makes me amazed that even that one of the steel ads I recently, just 2 days back, I was watching and I was saying that this ad casting gives me around 20 crore. Just 3 actors who are acting in. Yeah. So the 3 actor की casting ही मुझे लगता है 20-25 करोड़ का है. Now, how much of a media you're going to spend on it? इससे अच्छा तो एक फिल्म ही बना लेता है इनके साथ में.
हाँ लोग गुजराती तो 3-4 बना लेते हैं.
So, having said that, how do we define a purpose, more outcome expectation, and science behind in-film when we are trying to do?
I don't think personally there is any way to tangibly talk about that. There can be case studies, but the case studies also have a problem. Because एक बार वो कौन सा मलाइका अरोरा का गाना था? नहीं झंडू बाम. अब झंडू बाम वर्क कर गया तो उन्होंने नेक्स्ट गाने में क्या लेके आए? फेविकॉल. और फेविकॉल कभी वर्क नहीं किया आई थिंक. ऐसा कुछ था वो. झंडू बाम से वो वेरी हाँ उसके बाद they वो केस स्टडी बन गया झंडू बाम. They liked it. चलो अभी इसको रिप्लेस करते हैं.
But was that in-film effort or was that?
It was part of a song, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yeah. But was
so
it?
झंडू बाम was part of the song, which came in like, wow, perfect. और जैसे ही उन्होंने वो फेविकॉल में बदला, वो मुझे एकदम फोर्स लगा. You cannot just मतलब मेथी ना खाकरा एक जगह बने जे तरत बीजी दुकान में मेथी ना खाकरा ना बनी सके.
So I agree with that. What I meant is objective of in-film. So if as a brand I am coming in, I need to come in with a maybe A, B, C, D expectation. A expectation is saying that, okay, I'm just trying to get the mind share, eyeballs.
That is the first priority.
First priority.
In that list.
Yeah. Second is I'm expecting showcase of consumption, which is how the product is used, this, that, not necessarily get picked up.
That should be the third or the fourth.
Third or a fourth.
Second could be about attaching your brand's philosophy with the film or the character.
Okay.
I think that should come second.
So I don't think we have even come across as a more defined approach to in-film where we say, okay, when you consider a brand for in-film, this is A1, A2, A3. We have mostly a deck which comes saying that you're ready to pay X amount, you get this. You're ready to pay Y amount, you get this. So it's more related to what you pay versus what you get.
वही बोल रहा हूँ ना कि बहुत ही sales driven and बहुत ही desperate वो मारुति कार खरीदने जाओ तो नहीं होता है कि આટલું ટોપ મોડલ લેશો તો આટલામાં પડશે, આનાથી થોડુંક નીચે આવશો, આ કાઢી નાખીશ ને આ કી નહીં મળે ને આ નહીં મળે તો આટલામાં થશે. એટલે it becomes like that, but it cannot be treated like that.
Right. So now coming to the next section or the next part of it is which is hot topic and has to be discussed is AI. Now with AI coming in with ads being made with a very interesting technology, integration of interesting technology. What do you think in film, it leaves in film opportunities with technology and with films being made in a different way? Like we explore, अरे ये खाली slate रख देते हैं, कोई भी brand आएगा तो रख सकते हैं.
हाँ, absolutely. Technology can really help you. Technology can seriously help you integrating the film, I mean the brand in the film, in spite of the fact that you have shot the film. And there have been that solutions also. Like you have shot the film completely, you're on the edit stage, and maybe a brand wants to come on board at this stage. You can integrate them, and there are ways of doing it. So technology is only helping. I don't know specifically about AI helping here or not, but technology is definitely helping us do that.
Okay, and what do you think now, having done Hindi feature film, dealt with what comes with the expectation for Hindi film and regional film, which is where you are like sort of a semi-king, I would say. Then what do you think OTT as a event of OTT has created a change in film consumption? Because in my career with two of my brands, we'd done very interesting OTTs, web series collaboration, like one of a bottle brand only, we had it. Worked with a production house. It was 3 years back, done it, and one scene there's just bottle of water which is lying there, which is not like it made any impact, but it gave some deliverable, it gave some visibility. Eventually, the idea was getting more impressions and eyeball for brands. So, how do you think OTT consumption, OTT content is changing in film into it? Because I think there the fluidity with which brands are getting integrated is much more. Like my favorite case studies are Epigamia integrated into what
one of our shows also.
Exactly. So how do you think film and OTT content integrations are?
See, a content is a content. Only the difference can be, the two differences that can be that film comes for a moment, it stays in cinemas, then obviously it gets into some other platform and all of that. And OTT is going to be there, constantly. And second factor is that you have more opportunities of integrating the brand because there are multiple episodes and it's a long format. So अगर आप एक फिल्म में 2 बार आ सकते हैं, एक शायद OTT शो में, वेब शो में आप 10 बार आ सकते हैं.
हर एपिसोड में
आ सकते हैं. कई बार तो लोग पूरा ओन अप भी कर देते हैं. हमने एक शो किया था, was the Bombay Shaving Company, if I'm not wrong. Bombay Shaving Company presents Cutting. It was on a barber shop, and Bombay Shaving Company completely took over, and we got a very instant feedback from our consumers. This was the 3rd season. The first 2 seasons we didn't have any integration. अब वो चल गया show, तो we thought that चलो let's bring the brand on board. We have the numbers, figures, analytics, whatever. We brought the brand on board. We got our hard cash. We made the show. People came back telling us that boss, ये तो आपने बेच दिया अपना content. बोला we sorry, and we learned it. That you cannot go overboard also, because people have more loyalty towards your content, and they would not want to get distracted by the brand's, very aggressive penetration into the content. So we realized that this is a mistake. We should draw a line. So that does happen, but again, it has to be the right balancing act. Again, a filmmaker and a marketer has to sit across the table, and not actually across the table, but sit on the same side of the table and make the right strategy.
Absolutely. I was watching, forgot the name, it's a TVF show, some Parivarik, very Parivarik. And they have some amazing way urban clap is integrated in it. And they have this one scene where actually IKEA is integrated in a very interesting way. That mother-in-law and daughter-in-law actually walks around and does the whole episode where they're trying to escape in IKEA store. Now, these are very long format narrative when done very well with story, done very well with the subject of the topic, and then it makes a very great impact. Brings me back to next and maybe...
But I'll just add one more thing. With the OTTs and the long format shows, you have to also give the fact that it is a very passive consumption medium. वो टीवी पे चल रहा है, मोबाइल पे चल रहा है, कुछ एक डिस्टर्बेंस वैसे ही आपके आसपास एक एम्बियंट डिस्टर्बेंस है. मैं यहाँ पर बैठ करके OTT शो देख रहा हूँ, आई डोंट माइंड वो आइकिया के शो में भी गई, यहाँ फिर इधर किसी का फ़ोन आ गया या किसी से बात होगी, फिर मैं वापस आ गया. इन सिनेमा इट इज़ एब्सोल्यूट क्राइम to disturb my viewing experience. That's why you have to keep it more subtle. In OTT, you can go a little overboard. That's fine. But obviously, सबकी अपनी अपनी मर्यादा होनी चाहिए.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to be part of narrative, irrespective. But what you rightly said that I'm getting an eyeball in cinema for a very limited period of time. I'm getting a very tight story timeline. I have to finish it off in a 2 hours, 50 minutes or whatever. In that, I can't derail with brands and all.
Also, I'm paying. Obviously, you're paying for OTT, but you pay once and then you forget.
Yeah.
But इधर तो you are taking that call कि 480 रुपए की टिकट लेके जा रहा हूँ. अभी मेरे को अगर ब्रांड्स दिखाया तो मेरे पैसे भी वापस दो मेरे को.
Absolutely.
क्योंकि आपको तो सब्सिडाइज मिल रहा है.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I would think that way.
Absolutely.
So मेरे को ज़्यादा डिस्टर्ब नहीं करना. अगर बहुत ज़्यादा ब्रांड लाए तो वापस पैसा दो मेरे को.
Absolutely.
मैंने ब्रांड की एडवर्टीजमेंट भी देख ली, आपका कंटेंट भी देख लिया. Now give me my money back.
Absolutely.
It can come down to that.
Absolutely. So, as a filmmaker, as someone who ran an OTT platform, and now also a third aspect of that you make ad films, which is the out of three that you enjoy the most? Which is the out of the three that gives you the most satisfaction as a creative storyteller?
I think wherever we get to tell a story, and we have had this conversation so many times, that if I get to tell a story, I'm the most excited person. The format can be anything. I need to tell a story, and people ask me what genre do you like, and my genre is excitement. Like if it is exciting enough for me, any genre I can pick, any format I can pick, any platform I can pick and I can make. You know, it can be advertisement film, and we have constantly, so far, with God's grace, we have thrived only on storytelling, and I think that is where we come as a differentiator. So for me, every format is very respectful and I'm loyal to that format because वो मेरी रोजी रोटी है. लेकिन advertising मेरी रोजी रोटी है. And by Rosie I mean Rosie. So
absolutely. Yeah, so I think my questions are over. Not that I had like a long list of questions. So should I leave it open for people? You guys have any questions?
Yeah. Shall we? Yeah.
I think he's taking it.
Sir, Abhishek, this is a question to you. It's a funny question. Do you believe that Audi must have influenced Kinjal Dave to sing this Char Char Bangdi Wali Gaadi?
Audi should have, or Kinjal Dave should have gone to them rather. But I think, but that's a fantastic example also. It's not funny. You know, in Gujarat we call Audi as Char Bangdi Wali Gaadi, right? And now imagine it is so, you know, so much in the culture of Gujarat that if the brand would have known and if Kinjal would have approached, it would have been a perfect marriage. And nothing would have worked better for the brand and for Kinjal both ways. Obviously, the song got popular for its own content, but imagine that would have also brought so much of prosperity otherwise, you know, to the brand and Kinjal both. So it wasn't conscious, but it was so much part of the culture, right?
So with that context, I think one of the things I can add as conversation here is, do you think the format for brand advertising is also very much changing? Like Vaseline making a music video for their ad last winter, or like I know how it was done and who was done it and where the story came from. They legit wanted to make a peppy music video which when gets integrated in Instagram gets into a music that eventually influencers can use it. Now the whole ad is a music video. So creating a newer format in advertising is also something that, you know, we talk about. Someone, when I just walked in, someone here, a gentleman was asking Neeraj that how do I retain the customer, or how do I get my ROI right? And as a marketer, this keeps getting constantly, the question is, your conversion will happen when you have engagement. Bring in the engagement or get in a sort of a, you know, kind of a content that keeps my audiences hooked. So do you think that these newer format of popular music, popular content, rap, that sort of integrations really makes
It has worked, but who ruins it? is, I mean, a lot depends on that. Like a T-series video starts from with Denver, and then goes on, and you don't get the context of the song. But it starts with Denver. So that is ruining it. But if a Vaseline does it around winter time with a song, what does the brand want? The brand want rotation and organic reach.
Yeah, it says
so
Dilli
easy
ki
that the
sardi.
music
It
will
does
come
not
out.
say Vaseline. It says Dilli ki sardi.
Correct. तो वो मतलब
It does
कितना
not-
सही, हाँ, वो बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम्पल है. बट फिर एक अच्छे एग्जाम्पल के सामने 4 खराब एग्जाम्पल आते हैं.
हाँ.
है ना, वो ऐसा वो हीरो लगाएगा, उसके बाद एक गाना शुरू होगा. क्या कॉन्टेक्स्ट था? मैं यहाँ मतलब पहले ही शॉट में अगर आप मुझे वो ब्रांड दिखा रहे हो और वो परफ्यूम लगा करके फिर लड़का बाहर निकलता है, एंड देयर इज नो कॉन्टेक्स्ट टू दैट इज ruining it.
So I just recently, I don't know if you've seen it, it's just come out maybe yesterday, day before yesterday's. Rene has done a very interesting collaboration with a music artist, and I forgot the name of the guy. It's from it's Bandish Amazon series, that music.
Bandish Bandits.
हाँ, so one of actor from there who's actually a singer, and
The character Mahi, yeah.
yeah, so he's this Kari
Ritwik
Kari.
Chaudhary, हाँ.
So he's come up with a song called Kari Kari. He's
हाँ.
made a song called Kari Kari, which is about their kajal.
अच्छा, परेश
Midnight-
पहूजा.
हाँ,
Yeah,
Paresh
yeah,
Pahuja.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he's made a song called Kari Kari, which
Yeah.
is actually him stroking out a woman and then finally not getting the kind of a woman that he was dreaming about, and ends up picking up the kajal and drawing with the kajal and then doing Kari Kari Aankhein. I loved it. I loved it for the fact that it is like our generation, my generation of, you know, those music videos where you really had story in video, and the brand is so subtly integrated and so nicely coming into it that for once, if you don't know and see it without the context, you would not even know this is a brand integration.
But depends on who is initiating this. So Paresh had a song which is called Kari Kari, and then eventually a Kajal brand came on board. Great. A Kajal brand saw कि अरे ये परेश पाहुजा अच्छा चल गया है, बंदिश में उसको बुलाओ, वो गाना भी गाता है, भैया एक कारी कारी पे गाना गा दीजिए. तो वो
I would
दोनों
actually would want to
work.
check with the brand,
Both-
but it
both
is
works.
nicely done.
Both works, but if it is nicely done, keeping, as I mentioned in the beginning, keeping the dignity of the content intact.
Yeah.
If you do not, then why would people watch it?
Why would people watch it?
They are here to consume. And what would brands like? Brands would like actually constant rotation. A music video is not only played on, say, YouTube, it is on Instagram, it is probably, you know, reaching out to people otherwise also as audio also. So it has got more frequency. And why wouldn't the brand love it?
So do you get this thing where brands come and say, हमारा brand इसके बाद viral हो जाना चाहिए?
हाँ, पर उतना रिस्क भी होना चाहिए, फिर वो समय रहना जैसा होगा कैंसल कल्चर में. हाँ, we are living in a cancel culture state. So the brand would these days vouch for a lot of influencers, but then influencer अगर थोड़ा सा इधर या उधर हो गया, तो फिर उतना ही backlash brand को भी मिल सकता है.
Yeah,
With that risk you have to approach.
Absolutely. So coming back to the questions, I think the gentleman here had a question.
वो रेटिंग के रिलेटेड व्हाट डू यू
Can you repeat your question so that since you've taken the mic?
Okay, so I'm saying you are very transparent when it comes to your communication throughout films, advertising, everything. I just wanted to ask, अभी जो OTT films वगैरह में fake PR ज़्यादा हो रहा है, ratings काफ़ी दिखी जाते हैं. As a marketer, I can see कि you know fake ratings है, कोई इतने genuine ratings है नहीं. So what is your take on that? Is it really happening with all the movies or
It is
only
happening with
few?
everything.
Everything.
Every Sunday my question to my wife is किधर जाएंगे अपन डिनर करने. तो फिर वो हम लोग कुछ एक दो चीज़ें सोचते हैं, फिर गूगल पे रेटिंग देखते हैं और बहुत बढ़िया रेटिंग है, अच्छे अच्छे वीडियो बने हुए हैं, सब खाना देख करके लजीज लगता है, ऐसा लगता है अब भी चले जाएं खाना खाने, संडे की भी कौन इंतज़ार करे. एंड देन वी रीच देयर एंड वी ये 2 मिनट गूगल खोल के देख यही था क्या. एंड व्हाई इज दिस हैपनिंग? दैट इज एन इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन. We are living in an opinionated world. It's not that the marketeers are feeding this. We are asking for this. Do we have the real time, sensitivity and sensibility and our own opinion to go watch a film and then think about it and then rate it our own way? Chalo, forget about rating. Do we have an opinion about it? Like I went to a film yesterday which got released yesterday and it is a lauded film right now. मैंने कहा ये क्या चल रहा है, ये तो रील बनाई इन्होंने, एक सीन का एक रील है, 1 करोड़ का एक रील है, और रील पे रील बनी जा रही है, और कुछ फीलिंग ही नहीं हो रही मेरे को, मैं कुछ वो ग्लोरी फील नहीं कर रहा हूँ, वो एब्सोल्यूट टेस्टोस्टेरोन हाई वो चल रहा है, लेकिन मेरे को कुछ हाई नहीं फील हो रहा। वही एक्टर जब बोलता है हाउस द जोश, मेरे को हाई फील होता, अभी मैं बंदूक निकालूं बाहर जाऊं और दुश्मनों को मारूं, वो हो नहीं रहा है। एंड वी आर ऑल थ्रॉन्गिंग इनटू द सिनेमास। Why? Because अरे रेटिंग बहुत सारा है, अरे रिव्यूज बहुत सारा है। दिस हैज बिकम आवर कॉन्वर्सेशन, सो इट इज नॉट प्रॉब्लम ऑफ द मार्केट, इट इज व्हाट वी एज कंज्यूमर्स हैव बिकम। કેવી છે પિક્ચર યાર, રેટિંગ તો સારા છે, મિક્સ્ડ રિવ્યુઝ છે, એક વાત જોવા જેવી છે, પૈસા વસૂલ થઈ જશે, ના જોતો પૈસા પડી જશે. This is how we define content, this is how we define our conversation and our consumption. So then we cannot blame anyone.
So this is very alarming to fact, I'll just add to it, this is very alarming to the fact that recently I was visiting Hiranandani Hospital for a family, and we were just sitting in a waiting area, and this doctor walked in because my cousin was very serious, and the doctor walked in. He's one of orthopedic senior doctor in Hiranandani, and then he's like, because she's been staying there for a longer period of time and all the doctors know, they came in and say, okay fine, what do you do? I say, I'm an advertiser, ye wo, I have a digital agency, this that. Suddenly the doctor sat with me and is like, I need your 5 minutes. I need, like a doctor whom we go to and said 5 minutes. I said, what happened? He said, ये ज़रा देख के बताओ ना कि ये गूगल रिव्यू का रेटिंग कैसे बढ़ा सकता हूँ मैं अपना. And I'm just thinking like 5 minutes, what? Are you like, he said, ये क्या है ना actually, अभी वो patient आता है ना, तो we are 5 orthopedics. तो वो एक पेशेंट को गुस्सा आ गया क्योंकि उसने मेडिसिन फॉलो नहीं किया और उसको ठीक नहीं हुआ, तो उसने नेगेटिव रिव्यू डाल दिया है. हाउ डू आई गेट इट रिमूव्ड? हिज होल 35 years ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस goes down the drain with that one Google review. So that wasn't the problem before. What Abhishek is saying is not just films, it's about everything that we consume today is so opinionated, so judged, that we don't believe in people, we believe to technology, we believe in, so Google told you search pe 5 results. Now AI does not even give you that, it just summarizes and tells you one narrative which you will eventually end up believing in. So that's
and the dark side is that's the क्या वो ब्लैक मिरर आया था ना, वो मुझे अपने आसपास होता दिख रहा है. Why do we bash on that newspaper article where Bollywood is doing corporate bookings? अरे why wouldn't they do? बहुत इंटेग्रिटी से फिल्म बनाने के वाले पास में भी कुछ हो नहीं रहा है, बहुत इंटेग्रिटी से बेचारा वो गरीब ही रह रहा है. ठीक है, बहुत इंटेग्रिटी, बहुत ऑनेस्टी, बहुत लॉयल्टी से पिक्चर बनाया, मैंने पिक्चर बना के डाल दिया है, अब अच्छी लगेगी तो लोग जाएंगे तो लोग दूसरों को भेजेंगे, ऐसा कुछ हो नहीं रहा है. ये पता नहीं कौन से ज़माने का सत्य है, ये तो कलयुग चल रहा है भाई. लोगों को बताना पड़ेगा कि मेरी पिक्चर बहुत अच्छी है, तो मैं पिक्चर भी बनाऊं, मैं पिक्चर बेचूं भी, और मैं आपका ओपिनियन भी आपको ही परस के दूं, सर्व करके दूं कि सुनो, यू हैव टू टेल दैट दिस फिल्म इज वेरी गुड, एंड दैट ऑल्सो आई एम मार्केटिंग. Otherwise, why would I do a corporate booking of 10,000 shows? I mean, not me, but why would, as Bollywood, I do a corporate booking of 10,000 shows that for the first weekend, you are going for free, and then you are told, hey, give good rating, because our brand is also involved in it. हाँ, great, everyone's giving 5-star rating. और पिक्चर ना रिव्यू बहुत सारा है, एक बार जोवा जीवी जाए. आपने जोઈને बाहर निकल गए છે, और अपन एक डिलेमा में जाते हैं. I'm sure everyone has been through that dilemma once. यार આટલું તો શું સારું હતું કે લોકોએ 5-5 સ્ટાર આપે, મારામાં જ કંઈક ખોટ હશે, કાંઈ વાંધો નહીં, let's give 5 star. This is how we are. तो अभी ये पूरा काल बदलना पड़ेगा, कलयुग से सतयुग में जाना पड़ेगा भाई. No, just joking, but I think something has to change, right? It will. We are all sitting on a cusp of nice change. I only like to believe it that way, in my lifetime at least. Anyone has any question? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. So I wanted to talk about covert ways and overt ways of advertising. So like covert ways is a bit subtle way wherein a brand is incorporated in a film. Like have in say Iron Man, Tony Stark drives an Audi R8, and overt way is the one you said about Pass where Hrithik Roshan is promoting it. Now even 20 years down the lane, we do remember Pass, and although dare I say in a bit notorious way, But I wanted to know, are there any pros of overt ways of advertising, or is it something that is very obsolete and doesn't work in today's times?
I think overdoing it is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I mean,
Overtly doing it in a very
overtly-
offbeat manner,
in a
also
offbeat
still
manner,
we
then
remember.
Badass Ravi Kumar also works because we love cringe, right? So cringe also works for us. So sometimes it becomes so cringy that it becomes viral. So that pass in today's time it would have come, it becomes absolutely cringe-worthy, and then we lap onto that as a generation and we make that also popular. So Badass Ravi Kumar works that way. And then you do it a subtle way, and then that might also work organically.
It's
So
more like a topping. So if you are dazzing it up with a too much of a glitter, it's going to shine and going to attract your attention. It might give you this feeling, but at least it's got your attention. So what it has become is whatever that is, just get that attention. So sometimes brands want that just get me that attention is what I'm looking at. Whether that works or does not work, measures of that is very subjective. That is there even in advertising, that you make great ad, but does the great ad mean great sales? That nobody asked the question. Okay, we all advertisers get happy that this was great ad, but will you go and buy the product? Will you go and consume the product? That's the last mile question. So does it work or not? Does Rakhi Sawant version of popularity or Urfi Javed version of marketing works? I don't know. It does not work for everyone, but it gets attention, it gets a conversation, and sometimes people are looking just that. So in that case it works, otherwise.
yeah, and also a lot of brands, when we are making advertisement films or we're doing any in-film branding, they just tell us that, just make this work. This has to go viral. But वो statement में full stop नहीं समझता हूँ मैं उधर comma लगा के पूछता हूँ at the cost of what? Are you ready to compromise on your philosophy of the brand? Great, I can get a Rakhi Sawant and do it. Are you ready to keep the brand philosophy intact? Then I'll do it in a certain way. So at the cost of what is a very important question that filmmakers probably have to ask the marketeers, be it ad filmmakers or feature filmmakers, that at the cost of what do you want that virality? हर एक brand का आज की तारीख में पूरा brief देने के बाद में ऐसा एड एवी बनाओगे वायरल थी जाए. मैं उनको ये बोलना चाहता हूँ कि कुछ भी आज की तारीख में वायरल हो ही नहीं सकता है. You have to make it viral.
करना
पड़ता है वायरल. मतलब if you are talking about Kolavari D as an example, I'm sure sir is sitting here and with all due respect, I think it was also made viral or made to look like viral. It was not a natural. I don't think it was organically.
It wasn't.
After a point, it definitely spurred into becoming like a organic virality, but you have to push it that way and very
even
strategically.
the ASL challenges. Yesterday I was reading somewhere, the whole Mahakumbh this year as a viability factor is FOMO. It's subjective, like how many genuinely knew and went because they have been believing in going versus how many are going because they are feeling the fear of 144 years and FOMO and social media is byproduct of it. It's subjective when it comes to religion, but the point is it's a great marketing. It's a great marketing made viral, that suddenly it's just pushed as a narrative, suddenly it is given it out that you want to feel that if you're not having it, you're missing out something. At least it had brought a question to individuals' minds that, अरे यार जाना है मेरे को एक बार, एक बार जाके.
Coldplay और महाकुंभ.
Coldplay and Mahakumbh, both are a very similar strategy.
मतलब अभी नहाते वक्त इतना सारा पानी बहा देंगे चलेगा, लेकिन स्नान करने के लिए इधर से इतने 1000 किलोमीटर जा करके सस्टेनेबिलिटी की बात करके मैं नहाने जाऊं, वो मुझे थोड़ा सा, सॉरी, नो ऑफेंस टू एनी रिलीजन, आई एम पार्ट ऑफ दैट रिलीजन ओनली, बट कहने का मतलब है कि वो मुझे बहुत एब्सर्ड लगता है. 44 years of my life I have not prayed God, then in 144 years I want to go and do the Mahakumbh. I don't get it. Either I am a absolute devotee and I know the importance of it, and that's when I'm going. That's another case. I don't know the lyrics of Coldplay, then I'm going to the show. 25,000 रुपए का टिकट दिया, 2 लाख रुपए का टिकट दिया, just to be there.
So a lot of people came back and said, how come in your city you didn't go? How come you didn't go? How come it's a one of a kind? मैं तो laser light sound show के लिए बोल रहा हूँ, otherwise तो Spotify में सारे गाने. So the whole fact is, if you're very nice Shilpa Rao or Sunidhi Chauhan, which as a singer I love, or Rekha Bhardwaj, comes to Ahmedabad and puts up a show, will you line up like this? No. Why? Because there's no FOMO attached to it. So that's the whole idea of it, is that we are selling everything like that. It's not just the brand. Every aspect of it is being sold like you are overtly missing it out if you don't have it, and that's not.
हाँ मतलब Coldplay selling Coldplay to Gujaratis is like गंजे को कंगी बेचना, and they did it so right. They did it so right. You know, 2 shows and the capacity of that stadium, I'm assuming there must be 2.5 lakh people in those 2 days. और अगर हम आधे भी काट दें तो हम ऐसा समझे कि लाख गुजरात से आए होंगे, समझ ले 1.5 लाख कहीं और से आए होंगे, ठीक है, गुजरात से नहीं आए होंगे, हार्डकोर फैंस होंगे. मैं बहुत रिलीजियस बात करने लगा इसलिए माइक ऑफ. तो वो लाख लोगों को भी कोल्डप्ले बेचना, आई थिंक गंजे को कंगी बेचने के बराबर है. हाँ, पर आप इतनी देर से खड़े हो, मेरे को आप बैठ जाओ ना.
Sure.
हम तो चालू ही रहेंगे. सर मैं ये कॉन्वर्सेशन इनफिल्म ब्रांडिंग से कहीं और चला गया है सर, इसीलिए मेरा माइक ऑफ हो गया है. ओके, एनीवन हैज एनी अदर क्वेश्चन? यस. ये काम नहीं करता वो अपना बहुत स्ट्रेटेजिकली तो हम चले जाएं.
Yes, so what I believe is films are 24 times truth, right? So like incorporating advertisement in films is different. Like we have many mediums to promote advertisements, brands, like through many other social platforms. So what I believe is you are a filmmaker and you are a producer too. So you know, when a brand comes to you, is it necessary or is it good for you or is it justice for you as a filmmaker to incorporate brands in your films? Because I believe that films should be kept very different, very separate from all the commercial parts, right? So if you are watching a film, you feel it, you involve in that character, you know, you relate a lot of things with that character. You laugh, you cry, you smile when some happy moments come during the scene, right? So what I believe is when you input a commercial portion in your film, it's a very disconnect, and I feel it's very injustice for every filmmaker to you know, catch a brand and to put it inside the film. So I am basically a filmmaker, so you know, all these things, all these commercial things, when it comes in a film, I really feel very disconnect. Like for a minute, I feel that what is this? Achanak aake mere tani andar aayi jaye chhe. So what is the perspective? I wanted to know from you.
You have a very good question and you're very passionate about films. I am not audible. This is all. हेलो हेलो. चलेगा मेरे ऐसे ही. अगर चला तो चला. हाँ, नहीं चल रहा, आवाज नहीं आ रही ना. अरे ठीक है. So I'm saying that thank you for that question. That also actually kind of morally questions us. And while you were asking that question, I was going back to my own process. That how do I finalize that I want a brand on board or not? There are 2 parameters that I look. One, is it you know, very organically integrating with my story? So I have to keep that fence, right? एक लक्ष्मण रेखा बना के रखनी पड़ती है. दूसरा, अगर चलो एक बार ऑर्गेनिकली हो रहा है, लेकिन उससे अगर कुछ पैसा आता है, वो पैसे से क्या मेरी फिल्म एनहांस हो रही है? आज मेरे पास 100 रुपए फिल्म बनाने को, लेकिन अगर वो ब्रांड 5 रुपए और डाल रहा है, तो क्या वो एक्स्ट्रा 5 रुपए में मैं कुछ फिल्म के प्रोडक्शन वैल्यू को, फिल्म के वैल्यू को बढ़ा रहा हूँ? ये 2 फैक्टर्स अगर टिक बॉक्स होते हैं, तो I go ahead with it. Otherwise, I am a film school student and I am a hardcore filmmaker who you know, I have fought with Khushboo on a campaign where I had to not, you know, I felt that this is disloyalty from my end and I won't let this, you know, output go out, which was for an ad. तो फिल्म के लिए तो अलग ही लेवल का वो है, ठीक है? तो I won't do that. But ideally, one should actually have these 2 parameters in mind. That one, if you know, the brand is getting organically integrated, why not? Okay. Secondly, if it is adding some value to the beyond selling your soul. So if it is adding some value to your you know, films, production value, then why not? It only helps the filmmaker. Also reduces your risk. And in Gujarat, whatever films I've made, right from Kevir Tejesh until now, I have had brand insertions, and it has helped me. And I don't think it has ever, kind of, brought any kind of disconnect from the audiences. Touch wood, whatever love I have got from the audiences, they have never come back to me saying that Karan kyonu brand that is why your story got suffered and we don't want to watch your film. So that kind of cautious eye is always there.
Also, you need to look at realistically commercial aspect of it is. Today, making a film is an expensive affair.
Going to watch a film is also an expensive affair.
Yes, and marketing the film.
500 रुपए देकर पिक्चर देखने जाता हूँ, फिर 200-300 रुपए का पॉपकॉर्न अलग. मैं क्यों दूँ?
And marketing the film also is an expensive affair. So sometimes for filmmakers, it's essential to have that amount of great films are not seeing the day of the light is because nobody is ready to sponsor it. That itself as a part is a very regulated, I think that's a different topic altogether, but having a passionate project or a subject or a film or a story and making it realize the day of theatre has a long journey. He knows better than anybody else.
I mean, adding just a little bit to it, and then probably will be the answer to your question is that जितना धर्म हमारा फिल्म बनाने का है, उतना ही धर्म हमारा लोगों तक हमारी वो कहानी पहुंचाने का है. उस बीच में, उस रास्ते में फिल्म को हर्ट किए बिना और या लोगों तक पहुंचने के धर्म को अगर कोई भी हर्ट नहीं होता है, आई एम फाइन विथ एनीथिंग. As long as it makes my film reach the audiences.
आपकी मूवी में दिखाने के लिए, जैसे गुजराती मूवीज में कैसे पोड़ दिखाते हैं या फिर फाफड़ा खमण कुछ भी कोई एक शॉप या फिर शादी का कुछ आया तो आसोपालों को दिखा दिया, या इस तरीके से आप कभी जाते हो?
मतलब मैं जाता हूँ
सवाल
आप मूवीज में दिखाने के लिए कि लाइक
हाँ वो भाई 2012 में मैंने क्या ऑनेस्ट लिखा करके सीन ऑनेस्ट में शूट किया था. ऑनेस्ट वाइड शॉट लगाने वाले हो, एस्टेब्लिशिंग शॉट, वेयर इज योर कैरेक्टर सिटिंग, तो ऑनेस्ट का शॉट लिया बाहर का, और अंदर वो कहाँ बैठे हैं तो ऑनेस्ट में बैठे हैं. उसके बाद में और कोई ब्रांडिंग नहीं, तो ये तो किया ही है. जेट ब्लू में बेयार में, आई डोंट नो इफ यू सीन एनी गुजराती फिल्म्स, बट देयर इज अ फिल्म कॉल्ड बेयार. उसमें 2 कैरेक्टर्स हैं, वो दोनों का एक मोन्टाज है जहाँ पर वो लोग एक कैरेक्टर को कपड़े बदलवाने जाते हैं, कुछ तो ऐसा सीन है. तो दे गो इनटू जेट ब्लू, तो एक एस्टेब्लिशिंग शॉट डाला है, दे एंटर जेट ब्लू, दे कम आउट ऑफ द जेट ब्लू विद बैग फुल ऑफ क्लोथ्स. वो गाने में भी आ गया और कुछ किसी को हर्ट नहीं हुआ, इनको भी हर्ट नहीं हुआ और मेरा काम हो गया. तो वी हैव डन दैट. That's the easiest and the most dumb-proof way of doing in-film branding. हाँ सर, मैं चार्ज किए बिना ब्रांड को अंदर ही नहीं आने देता हूँ. बार्टर नाम की चीज़ करता ही नहीं हूँ मैं, है ना. पैसे बिना ब्रांड को अंदर नहीं. बार्टर क्या होता है ना. बार्टर मोहब्बत का होता है, ट्रांजैक्शन तो ट्रांजैक्शन होता है ना. यस.
I just wanted to know, like, what leverage is this? Like the usage of this, like the combination, the partnership of this ads and brands, ads and movies, whether the movies leverage the brands or the brands leverage the movies, like which is on the higher side?
So first of all, the brands that you mentioned don't advertise is wrong. They do at
but they're not there in the open market.
They are on an open market. They are in an open market. Every Swiss watch, you go to Switzerland, on the highest of the peak, you will see Omega, you will see Cartier, you will see everyone advertise. It's just that they market at a place which is very premium and a niche because they want to correlate their brand only with that audience. So there is a premium product marketing happening for those brands. Now, today's date, film, no film is using any brand unless it is endorsed. Let's understand that. If you see a premium watch being worn by a character, then if the brand name is seen, it means it is endorsed. Whether it's an international film, whether it is, international films is very systematic. They have still more professional approach to the whole thing compared to here. So if you see Rolex being worn by somebody in a film, it means Rolex has officially, and sometimes even they have to take a permission, they have to, because all of these limited brands are also, like Hermes bags would be on invite. So Hermes bag being used in Zindagi Na Mile Dobara is they've not used the brand name, but they've used the story of the brand, but that's unpaid. So the brand name is not seen, you will not know. If you know the design, you know it's Hermes bag. So like that, luxury marketing is very different. Luxury branding is very different. So if luxury brands are being used, so Aston Martin is a car which is used by
James Bond.
James Bond. So now that's been subtly done as a deal that James Bond only uses Aston Martin, or Iron Man uses whatever that they used. So this is done in a way so that subtly you're trying to create the personality, but it's all paid deals. It's all brand deals. It's not brands getting useful with a film use case or anything like that.
So in conclusion, we can say that it is the brands leveraging themselves with the help of movies?
Yeah, it's an INFILM brand.
I'll also give you an example of that. I made this Hindi film called Hum Do Hamare Do. Rajkumar was one of the characters, and we had a lot of phone because Rajkumar was a technocrat of sort. So we asked Apple to give all the phones for all the characters in the film. Okay, क्योंकि अब अपने को कौन खर्चा करे प्रोडक्शन में फ़ोन लेके आने का, डमी फ़ोन लेके आने का, तो we thought everyone will use. They asked us for a synopsis, they took a narration, so I gave a very brief narration to them, they understood the character, then they denied. And then I asked one of the production guys that why did they deny? तो बोले वो राजकुमार का कैरेक्टर थोड़ा एस्पिरेशनल है, लेकिन जो पूरी फिल्म है ना वो थोड़ा हार्टलैंड इंडिया की बात कर रही है, एप्पल को लग रहा है वो उनका एस्पिरेशनल, वो मतलब उनका पोटेंशियल कस्टमर नहीं है, क्योंकि फिर वो परेश रावल है, वो थोड़ी आईफोन यूज़ करेगा. और मैं इन द हाइंडसाइट आई वाज थिंकिंग एक्चुअली वो लोग राइट है, एंड एप्पल डिडंट गिव द फोन्स, नॉट डिड आई यूज्ड एनी एप्पल फोन देन, अपना भी तो घमंड है, तो आई डिडंट यूज एनी. लेकिन व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से इज दैट कि दे आर ऑल्सो वेरी अवेयर हु इज़ यूजिंग इट, व्हाट कैरेक्टर. They are not like अभी है राजकुमार को यूज़ करना है, कृति को यूज़ करना है तो दे दो. They are also very aware and they denied, which actually brought some insight in my mind कि why would they have denied, and it worked, you know.
Redmi or one would have done the four. Then it made sense.
हाँ, but फिर वो personal choices भी आती है ना कि Redmi का मेरी फिल्म में.
So yeah, so anything that you see at least in the screen is very, very programmed, very thought out, very consciously done, and at times even actors have the say in saying मैं ये नहीं करूँगा, मेरा ये conflict हो रहा है, मेरा इसके साथ conflict हो रहा है, मैं तो originally इस brand को endorse कर रहा हूँ, तो मैं ये पहन ही नहीं सकता हूँ, मेरी deal में नहीं है.
Actors सबसे ज़्यादा चिढ़ते हैं इन फिल्म ब्रांडिंग के वक्त.
हाँ.
Okay, thank you so much for you.
क्योंकि एक्टर्स का पैसा भी तो जा रहा ना, potential money that they would have gotten from actually dealing with the brand separately. Yeah. Should we? Is there is one question. You have one half-hearted या full? You want to or no?
Good question. So we currently see a trend that movies are not just one movie. They are breaking the stories into multiple stories, and they are leveraging the hype part for making more money. Like we can take example of Pushpa. So do you think brands also leverage this to do the branding of their own product or anything?
Yeah, obviously I think when Pushpa 1 came, it did so well that if they just go out and announce that we are making Pushpa 2, बोलो किसको किसको interest है, why wouldn't the brand leverage that? Because if we're making part 2 of it, of a very successful franchise. So why not? And they should, rightfully so, leverage it. है ना?
Last question here, and then we can kind of wrap it up.
Telugu movie which was woven around this motorcycle. I think there was some Himalayan race or some on the Enfield. Yeah. Any thoughts on that? Like just making a movie only for that brand only.
That is possible when filmmakers like us also become brands. Then only some brand will say that, you make a film for our brand. So I don't know, that's far-fetched thing. I mean, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. I think, sir, we will have to call.
I think it will be a short answer.
Okay.
May I ask?
Yeah, sure.
Abhishek, I just wanted to know, if you want to be successful first, then only brands may approach you, or if you are a newcomer, if you are a debut director, then also they may come to you?
I have been fortunate in both the cases. So when I made Kevir Tejesh, I went to a lot of brands, and Jade Blue being one, or Honest being one, the locals, obviously, then they also have that attachment. Like RJB, when I go to, Jade Blue, it is like the entire store is open for me to do whatever, branding I want to do, or whatever clothes I want for my characters. So they've been always open. And in cases where we were also doing some in-film branding, they kind of came back saying that yeah, you made this film, बेयार it was successful, but sir वो 10 साल पहले successful थी, इसलिए अभी हम नहीं करेंगे insertion. तो वो भी होता है. तो ठीक है ना. I mean, it can be either ways. They can come to you, or you can be a newbie, or you can be successful. It depends on the brands. Everybody is not Abhishek. No, but generally, नहीं, everyone is Abhishek. ऐसा कुछ नहीं. There is no privilege that Abhishek has got. It's just that generally it depends. The response depends on the brand's identity or the brand's philosophy, whether I am okay with a newcomer or not. Newcomer, every time I am a newcomer only. So my desperation is going to be equally as much as it was way back in 2012 or now. It is upon them how they perceive me. Like there was this one, I told you ना कि बेयार बनाने के बावजूद 10 साल हो गया, इसलिए उन्होंने बोला सर वो तो 10 साल पुरानी फिल्म थी ना, वो उस समय सक्सेसफुल थी, अभी का तो क्या पता. तो ठीक है, rightfully so. So it works either ways. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
I believe audience would also agree. Films and brands के बारे में अगर हम लोग बात करें तो discussion can go on and on. So never ending discussion है. I believe expert speakers would also agree to me. So now I would like to thank both our expert speakers, Mr. Abhishek and Ms. Khushboo, for taking out time and sharing their perspective. And I believe audience ने बहुत कुछ सीखा होगा. So it's a well-deserved time to take a break. But ऑडियंस ये याद रखना कि लंच के बाद भी हमारी बहुत एक्साइटिंग लाइनअप है स्पीकर्स की एंड टॉपिक्स की. सो ऐसा नहीं हो कि आप लंच करके निकल जाओ. सो बी हियर एट 2:30. सो पोस्ट लंच वी हैव एक्साइटिंग लाइनअप ऑफ स्पीकर्स, सो डोंट मिस आउट ऑन दैट. एंड अगेन थैंक यू वेरी मच सर एंड मैम फॉर टेकिंग आउट टाइम एंड बीइंग हियर एट AMA. थैंक यू वेरी मच.